答えよ。そなたが世のマスターか。
Hey everyone, this is Mega, and welcome to another to another podcast. I'm here with Anbu and Supremes. You want to introduce yourselves?
Yo,
What's up, guys?
sup guys,
Yeah.
Supreme Extreme here.
Yeah, and so today we're going to be discussing our first impressions on Last Encore, Fate Dash Extra Last Encore. It's based off of the game Fate Dash Extra and also the manga. I've actually never played or watched any of it, so this is my first time seeing any of it. Have either of you done anything? Like, I don't think so, right?
No, not at all. I'm kind of new to Fate, if you could say.
Yeah,
Yeah, I honestly haven't been keeping up with it at all.
yeah. I'm liking it so far.
I mean, me personally, the only thing I'm really liking so far is the soundtrack and the Shaft performances, as well as maybe
Yeah.
some other things as well. Mostly visual
Honestly, the
and
soundtrack
auditory.
yeah,
Yeah. The
I think
visuals
the
look.
soundtrack is really good.
Yeah, the soundtrack
For
and the visuals look good. I was actually a little hesitant on it when I first saw the trailer because I felt that the art style looks different and it was gonna take some getting used to, but it still looks pretty good.
It's classic Shaft in
Yeah.
a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it works well with like Nero. I think in this, especially this final episode, it's like Rin looked kind of weird
Yeah.
at least, but I think just like characters, more you get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rin was the one I thought like, yeah, because she kind of looks a little off because I don't know, the thing that I noticed was kind of the, you could say, more perverted one. I noticed that her boobs were smaller this time around.
Really,
Nero's looks okay.
I actually
Nice.
felt they were similar size or like actually a little bit bigger actually.
Oh no, I mean if Rin had like maybe
Yeah.
a C cup in the original, I'd say she has a B cup now. That's just kind of what I noticed. But it could just be the attire that she's wearing right now,
Yeah.
because she's wearing like a tank top this time instead of like the Tosaka robes.
Yeah. Yeah. It definitely
Rin
looks.
for me, it looked like her head was bigger than her, not necessarily bigger than her body, but like disproportioned. So maybe like to do with that.
Yeah, it's a different style. Definitely.
Yeah, it's a different team and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at something like Apocrypha, even that had like a different style compared to Dean and UFO Table and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And you also have to remember that the entire world of Extra it is basically a video game because it's all in a virtual reality. Like none of it, like the city isn't real. Like none of it. The only things that are actually real are like the characters, or the humans actually.
I'm pretty sure what they did confirm is that at least the virtual reality, although it's not real, the area that they are on is the moon.
Yeah, it is the moon.
Yeah, they did mention that.
Yeah. In the world of
Which makes
Extra, it's there's the Seraph system which created the moon cell, which created the world, the virtual world.
I mean, I'm still questioning why they're not like, because they're on the moon. I'm questioning why
Yeah.
they're not just moon jumping everywhere. Why the gravity isn't like at least a sixth of the Earth's. But
Yeah.
I think that's because it's like the virtual reality of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. They're not actually on the moon. They're in a world that was created by the moon cell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We got out of the way that it's based on a game and that
Yeah.
like the series itself is almost like a game as well because they're in a virtual reality.
Yeah.
So thoughts on
Yeah,
how we
right.
think that the story's progressing so far, or are we supreme on this one?
Like with I think the story is going all right, but like a bit of an issue I have is with the MC. He's kind of like a cliche video game protagonist in a way. He's he's pretty durable. I mean, he's been stabbed like something like 80 or so times, still able to like walk all the way down to like a bunch of floors down, and then still able to pull out this legendary sword that's somehow like in this like lower level, and able to summon Nero. It's just like, it's a little bit like, it's just like, where did this come from? You know?
The thing I noticed with this episode is that, because from what I saw, it was kind of displayed in a way that like each one of those times, but somehow like time resets or something. Because when they were like confronting Shinji, he was like, "Oh yeah, like crazy." First of all right, I'm just gonna say this. This is probably like one of the main highlights I'll give to this series is that they actually made Shinji not
like
he's just like terrible.
Like
You mean like a cardboard cutout asshole?
Yeah, I can agree.
Well, like in this one, he was a little bit more like with him a little bit more. Not necessarily like he's a good character or anything, but at least typical Shinji, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I guess it made sense for where they went for Last Encore, considering that it adapts a video game, and like the things that I noticed, worked perfectly for a video game. You're just like traversing the stuff, beating all these enemies and stuff. But much like what Mother's Basement brought up with his video on what was it again? It was on Made in Abyss. Although Made in Abyss would make the perfect video game, Reg beating a bunch of dragons gets old sometimes, unlike with a video game. So it just doesn't translate well like between them. So there's that kind of thing as well.
It also comes down to like directing and how which I will definitely give this series a lot of credit. Like the cutscenes and just like the way that the visuals are presented, which we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, it's handled really well. Like
it is
classic Shaft. They do a great job with that. So so back to like the MC.
Yeah, I've actually felt that he's like a little like too like melancholy in a way. Like he rarely ever speaks. He rarely ever shows any emotion. That's my main issue with him.
Like the issue is that he's too cardboard cutout. He's too self-insert. He's he's a little forgettable. I don't even want to remember his name for some reason, just because I can't. It's just like he's so forgettable. I just can't help like not want to remember his name. And that's like, it's pretty clear that that's from like the transition from video game to like that sort of thing. But if they're adapting the manga, then I think it should have been like the people who made like the manga, it should have been like their job to like maybe fix up things. Like, if you ever read like the Legend of Zelda mangas, you would know, like, because Link is pretty self-insert, they gave him a personality and everything, and that's probably what they should have done. Just give him like a personality and then work from there in a way.
I think that's why like the way that Shaft is seemingly handling it is the fact that they're like surrounding him in mystery. Like he doesn't have memories. Like excuses his like self-insert type of character, because it's like, well, he himself doesn't know who he is, so he just like knows enough to keep going.
He himself doesn't like know who he is, but if you've ever seen like actual like people with like amnesia and stuff, even though they might not know who they are, there's like those certain parts of them that have like been so ingrained in their personality that just doesn't change, so which makes them so that they're not robotic or anything. They're still kind of there,
Yeah, definitely.
Like if a person
it's just like a... Go ahead.
Huh?
Wait, you continue, Abu?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, so for like the main character, is it just like a resetting time that he's been like actually, like every time we see him get stabbed, was it just him dying and then somehow? I think that's how it was like portrayed in this episode.
I don't think so. I think that's those scenes of him showing him stabbing were just flashbacks of him getting stabbed. I don't think it's necessary.
Maybe he's trying to like reiterate, the whole people die if they're killed line. That this sort of same set of kind of message maybe.
It would be funny. That would be good.
I mean, it would have made sense too, because like it's kind of showing that that connection with Stay Night as well.
Yeah.
it would have made sense because that's like one of Stay Night's kind of morals in a way, or one of its teachings, quote unquote.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the servants? I mean, obviously the only like credible one, the latest one, something Drake.
Sir Francis Drake.
Sir Francis Drake, yeah.
Yeah. Like although someone like Haru would like disagree with me on this, I would say that probably turning Nero Claudius, one of the most brutal of the Roman dictators, into a saber face is maybe pushing it a little bit.
No.
And then I don't know, it just doesn't seem right because it's just weird how you're just turning like this guy who is pretty infamous in history into waifu material,
I think from Fate, like they tend to do that too, like the most popular characters, or like the most, I would say, like King Arthur and
Yeah, I mean, like with
Joan of
King Arthur, I guess it kind of made sense for the whole Eroge thing that they wanted to do with Stay Night, but I think they went maybe a little bit. They kind of pushed it a little bit much.
That point is like it worked, so let's just keep trying. Let's just keep doing it, which is why like Joan of Arc is also like.
Yeah.
But Joan of Arc, like, even though she was brunette, at least they had the excuse that she was at least still a woman, and that Joan of Arc was often said to be like that pretty virgin in the historical texts and stuff like that. So at least they got like that as their defense there.
I think it mostly has to do with the fact that the artist, I forget his name, he's known for being very very lazy. So
I mean, yeah, you have. I think the game is called Tsukuhime or whatever. It's about the vampires. Yeah, that game. You look at a lot of like the characters in there, and they look like two of them, like one of them looks exactly like Saber and stuff, and like they look pretty similar and whatnot. I'm just like, yeah, I was getting confused I was confusing that game initially for Fate for some reason. I'm just like, it wasn't, but same artist.
Yeah, it's same artist. He's known for being very lazy, and that's why there's like 26 Saber faces, because he just keeps reusing the same face over and over again.
I think familiarity definitely has a part to play in though as well, because new person or someone that like Supreme or myself, that we're not 100% invested in Fate, but we know of it.
Mm-hmm.
When you like Last Encore and you see a Saber face, you're like, okay, like I know, like root for this character, I guess, because like Saber was the main character in so many of the other series.
Yeah.
Although I think there was one, I don't know if it was a series or if it was a light novel or something. I don't know. I heard this a while back, but there was like a series where like Saber was made out to be more like more to be like the antagonist's, what do you call it? Like, servant or something like that, or not necessarily the antagonist, but like not necessarily the character you're supposed to root for as servant in a sense.
That's interesting. I haven't heard.
I don't know. I think maybe Fizz talked about it once. I think it might have been in his. If he did, it was probably in his like how to get into Fate video or whatever it was, and was saying that like maybe sometimes Fate tries to change things up or something like that.
Yeah.
And brought up some like an example like that, but that's really like the only time I've really heard of it. Although I think they might actually do something like that. It would probably be an interesting idea too as well. Just kind of like reverse the roles.
Yeah, if you really want to see the originals, you could check out Prototype, which has all the original designs for all the Stay Night servants. Like Arturia was originally supposed to be a male, but they changed it to a female, and her original master, which was supposed to be a female, it's in Prototype as well. So.
Didn't they change it? Didn't they change what's his name, Shiro, into like a man just because of the fact that they wanted like two other routes with two other girls rather than having one girl hook up with like a million other guys, which would have been very Josei. They rather wanted to make it more like a guy hooking up with a bunch of other girls, that kind of thing.
I can't remember the exact reasoning. I think it was that and Shiro's original design was Ayaka in prototype, and so the Type Moon felt that Ayaka wouldn't fit well with the Stay Night story, so they created Shiro and changed Artruya to female, and so
Well, yeah, she wouldn't fit well unless they wanted to make it a Yuri.
yeah. Yeah, so
Like a Yuri
So the
with
idea
that
of-
one guy in it, which would have been the Proto Arturia.
yeah.
I was gonna say also like on the position of how you said changing things up or like how it does change things up. I think Last Encore actually did a pretty just from like an overall view, a good change up of how the Holy Grail War is handled now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It's like a bit of a breath of fresh air rather than like having this large battle royale. You have different floors with different servants on them,
yeah,
and you battle it out from
Master,
there.
it's kind of it's essentially a game like
yeah,
It is more built like a video
servant,
game.
and then
Yeah.
you go to then you go to like the boss room and then beat him to move forward. The only thing that I'm gonna say about that is, I thought at first also had like an interesting concept, teams instead of just but then that turned out horrible.
yeah.
I don't know
Wait,
how this
that
would
was
go, but
Apocrypha?
like
I
Apocrypha, the team.
I feel like doing teams is one going down the Apocrypha route, but it's also like kind of like you're going a little bit too close to like the Sword Art Online kind of feel.
I like the Sword Art Online feel probably came from A1 trying to rehash the same sort of thing to it, but I feel like a team-based kind of thing isn't a bad idea, especially considering that when you're apart, you tend to be more weaker, but then when you're together,
Yeah,
like that one kid in The Simpsons said, you form a mighty faggot, It, like you're stronger together in a way. And which makes sense. Like that's the whole point of having alliances. But with the whole free-for-all feel of the Holy Grail War, most alliances would be temporary, only defeat one servant, and then they would all turn on one another.
yeah,
And the
Would've
question
made it
being when
excellent.
they would turn.
I think that would have been a better Apocrypha if they had focused more on that
yeah,
rather than because like you get some certain ones where I mean I know we were supposed to be talking about Apocrypha where it was Berserker who's fighting like 4 other people.
yeah,
Like, where's the team effort in this? And then later it's like Bulls fighting like 3 of the other ones, and it's like like there could have been some interesting battles there with like actual
Yeah, an
teamwork
interesting
and
like team-up
stuff.
battle.
yeah,
Like
Um,
hell, even like Toei is doing a better job with a teamwork battle style, like with they're doing with Dragon Ball Super right now with their battle royale
yeah,
at the moment with Power.
Toei is not like the overall worst. They just do a lot of bad things.
yeah,
Like and their animation
Yeah,
quality.
Toei used to be actually pretty good.
yeah,
Like they've been around for a long time.
Yeah, same with like Piera. Like if you like with Piera, one of their best works was Yu Yu Hakusho, and if you could believe it, it had like maybe 1 or 2 episodes of filler, and I think those were only like half episodes of filler. And it was Yu Yu Hakusho's anime was actually really good,
yeah. It was,
and it was one of PR's best.
yeah,
Like studios have their goods and bads, but not studios tend to do a good job sometimes. They're not always. Most studios are not always bad. Like A1's done a good job on certain anime, and
No.
same
Very
with
few.
same with like others. Hell, Dean's made a pretty Dean's made a pretty good turnaround lately.
yeah,
Before like they were asked back when they were doing Fate, like I think their last really bad one was the UBW movie.
yeah,
But recently with Konosuba and other stuff, they've really been like making a decent change.
yeah.
Okay.
I haven't seen Konosuba, so I can't say anything on it, but I have heard good things about it.
Yeah, Konosuba's like it's in a way like a parody or like a breakdown or like a spoof of the Ikeisai genre. It's basically just taking the whole Ikeisai genre and just kind of like making fun of it in a nutshell.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say like
yeah.
studio wise, I think Shaft is like kind of like have a good reputation for a good reason. Like they always kind of like crank out quality series, and I like the fact that it's not always the same kind of series. But like something like Nisekoi, which is more like funny, and like type of thing, and then you got something like Madoka, which can get dark, and Monogatari, which is just like visually stunning. So it's like they have even like I believe they did. No, was that Shaft?
No,
that was Madhouse.
I think Psychopass was maybe Silverlink. Let me check. I have Mal open right now.
But yeah,
Psychopass was IG.
Yeah.
IG also does an excellent job as well. But like Madoka and like Nisekoi is like very different Monogatari. So like I think that they can really at least present it well.
I feel Shaft is a good choice, and if they wanted to make Extra into another stay night, they could, because there are multiple routes in Extra, so they could.
I mean, they could turn into another stay night just by simply by turning the MC into maybe a carbon cutout of maybe Shiro, just like turning him into like just give him the personality of Shiro, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So far, the driving force for Last Encore has definitely been Nero.
Yeah, Nero is very popular.
Actually pops out.
Yeah.
And
I mean, like the one thing I do like about Nero is that she's pretty cheerful in a sense.
Yeah.
Which is like the one thing I do kind of like about her.
The thing that I was gonna add is with the whole like Nero versus Drake fight. Climatic it ended, I think. Like it was this huge build-up, which I guess goes back to like, which is just like he's always like built up a little bit and then just gets destroyed. Which I mean, it could work as a way of like, developing like a power structure. Like this is just the first level.
Yeah.
On like opponents will get stronger, which I think will be a really cool like video game aspect. But just crash the ship into her ship, and that's like she misfires or whatever and just gets cut down.
Yeah. Like
she didn't even try to block it or dodge it in any way. Like
the third JoJo arc. That's one of the third JoJo arc's biggest like criticism. That's that you often encounter these like users and these like stand users and stuff, and that you have these fights, and usually by the end you really never get anything out of these antagonists besides like their abilities and the fact that they're just standing against the main protagonists, and that they're always beaten at the end with like no real consequence. You don't really get anything from them except for maybe the last few stand villains you encounter, and that's really just about it. That was, I
was gonna say like Nero put like very little effort. First part of that battle was the fact that she ran out of mana herself.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like she was wounded and I think she did get hit, but like real handicap. It was just like, oh, I'm out of mana.
Yeah.
But then MC guy comes, gives her mana, and then she's just like able to like decay her essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I think would have been interesting is that to raise the stakes, have it like Nero was barely able to beat Drake, and then because Nero was barely able to beat Drake, well, it's only going to get harder from here, and that's what creates like a bit of a feeling of tension that, well, this isn't going to be easy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Also, it could add, like the element of like strategy into it, where it's like Nero being a saber class, which was like super powerful. It's like she's gonna have to think outside the box. Like she can't just like rush in and cut everyone down or something.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I mean by like maybe have her struggle, because if she struggles, well, she's gonna have to figure out workarounds and stuff like that to try to figure out how to beat the enemy. And then because she was barely able to beat the first boss, she has to beat all the. It's only gonna get harder from there, which raises the stakes.
Yeah.
That would have definitely been interesting.
Yeah.
I wish MC Guy had done a little bit more. Also, I was gonna bring this up. How I think it was the second episode or so when he's surrounded by like the Jennies or whatever. Next episode, he just like defeated all of them without like taking a scratch. They had like swords pointed at him. Like, he's just like completely OP, or like what's the deal? What's his deal?
I don't know too much about him. I've heard rumors that he might be a demisphere spirit servant, but I don't believe that.
Although Fizz once said that that they explain later on why he has like zero personality and why he has all these different things. I think Haru might have even said that as well. That they explain why he's so OP and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I don't know how they could. They have to come up with something really smart in order to actually get me to be like, yeah, that's not an ass pull, because anything at this point.
Right, just
like,
explaining it is not enough. Like, it's just gonna be, oh well, he's half demigod servant or whatever, and it's like, well, that's stupid.
Yeah.
Give me like an actual reason of
like
how.
it makes it feel like an asshole or just something that just kind of came at random. Like there's, it's always best to have foreshadowing at the beginning to give you an implication that that's actually the thing, or to get the viewer to think outside of the box to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the biggest problems with like Bleach. Like stack something onto Ichigo, like, oh wait, he's half hollow also. Oh wait, he's half Quincy and half everything else. And it's like a lot of those just came out of nowhere.
Like in a way, it was like that whole like Dragon Ball cliche where it's like, crap, I can't beat the villain, and all of a sudden he figures out a brand new transformation or something to beat the villain, which is like. Yeah, it works with Dragon Ball, but it didn't work well with Bleach at all.
No.
You know, it just felt like an asshole.
It also got old. It got old with Dragon Ball. Like, it was cool, like, with Frieza, I guess.
Yeah.
And maybe with Cell when, like, Gohan had to, like, push past.
Yeah, with, like, Frieza and Cell, it was, like, there was foreshadowing that, that's the whole point. And maybe even with Buu as well, because we knew that Goku was training. But with things like, say, the Jiren fight and Goku going Ultra Instinct, it just, like, that kind of came out of nowhere. And I think even Soul Maka kind of pointed this out, too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm very curious to see what like the explanation is, as to how this guy can just get stabbed and he can just do essentially anything.
Yeah.
And now, he's not a very, like, to me at least, he's not a very good MC. Like, he barely says anything. When he does, it's like just edgy, kind of like, oh, my memories or whatever. And it's like, all right, dude, like, calm down.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
he just feels like you're supposed to put yourself into him, but I'm just like, it doesn't work well. It's not working well. We didn't expect this to be a self-insert game.
In the game, the main character is who you play as, so I can.
Yeah, which is why it made sense.
Yeah.
But then if you like read something like, say, like the Zelda manga or something, they clearly gave like a character like Link, who is definitely self-insert. He's supposed to be the link between you and the player and the character, as the creator once said. You know, they still gave him a personality and everything because they had to in a way, but they just gave him like not really a generic personality, but more like a personality that fits his whole character scheme and everything.
The shonen protagonist almost, or the
shonen protagonist character. Well, that's basically what they gave. With young Link, they gave the shonen protagonist personality, and with older Link, they gave a more mature, noble knight kind of protagonist, but still with that immature sense to him.
It still works though.
Yeah, it does.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think that's like one of people's like biggest problems with like Kirito, was just the fact that he had like no personality almost. Like he was just always like, or like he was just like super emo about everything.
I mean, Kirito worked well in his light novel because, well, you got basic narration of how he was. He was a pretty, like, I wouldn't say like 3-dimensional because he kind of really wasn't, but he wasn't 2-dimensional like he was in the anime either. He was somewhere in between. He was a decently written character, to say the least. And, you know, in the anime, because they didn't really like keep anything like inner monologues and all that kind of stuff, they just kept his bare bones appearance as it goes on, and really just kind of killed his character, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because you really got nothing to adapt how he's feeling, how he's coping with everything, how he's doing everything. Just kind of made him feel self-insert, which he really shouldn't have, because the light novel clearly showed a protagonist, clearly showed like a personality and everything. You know?
Yeah.
What do you guys think about Rin's whole like resistance group thing that she mentioned in this last episode of Last Encore?
I I thought it was interesting because it sets up for like that there's another possible group involved in the in this show. So I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too. I also noticed that Rin also had a command seal on her hand,
Yeah.
which leads me to believe that maybe Emiya might be making an appearance.
Yeah.
It was the statue of him, wasn't it? That was originally attacking MC guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
that was an NPC, because in extras you tend to have like the enemies are called the NPCs, and they're basically viruses that are attacking the system, and some of them do have the appearances to past servants, so that's why he looked like the
Like Emiya?
yeah
Like those type of weapons as well. Like,
Yeah.
he has the same power.
I mean, yeah. Like the one good thing about like one thing I also noticed as well, like with Fate in general, is that like although Shiro himself is a horrible character, Emiya is a really good character
yes,
in a way.
that is the I like basically everybody agrees with that. Like, Shiro the master is bad, but Emiya is OP. Like,
Yeah, Emiya actually, his character and everything makes sense. I'm like, why didn't Shiro just listen? Like, what? He makes a good point. How exactly would you? No, literally, how exactly would you feel if you were just left in this desolated area to do every single crime that you didn't want to commit, to be a villain instead of a hero, and all against your will, having to fight all these battles and everything? Like, how exactly would you feel? Like breaking every single moral you had and everything.
mm-hmm.
You know, and then he just doesn't listen. He's just like, I'm still gonna do it. I'm just like, dude, it's, you know, just it was just stupidity in my opinion.
Do you guys have any other like points you want to bring out about Last Encore? In addition to something else.
Yeah, I guess I got like one with like Drake. I'm just like, I don't know why they turned Drake into a woman. It was just like, it kind of just came out of nowhere. It wasn't even like they were turning Drake into a Saberface or anything, which that would have been a little bit more justified. I'm just like, yeah, Sir Francis Drake was, there's actual historical bones and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's not like with someone like Jack the Ripper or someone like that where like, you know, they were like more mysterious and everything. It was just like more, it's recent enough that we kind of know who Sir Francis Drake was, so it really doesn't make sense. It's like all of a sudden gender bend Sir Francis Drake all of a sudden.
Well,
It was just kind of like,
Sir Francis Drake was seen as a pirate by the Spanish, and also the whole gender bend thing. It mainly has to do with Fate's whole fan service side of it, that they tend to like to gender bend people into females because they feel it's gonna sell more by doing it that way.
Yeah. So I want to point out, since we're in the, I kind of like the fact that like posing as like an NPC or whatever, or like an like ally of sorts. It's kind of like, okay, you know, she like cuts out the people that come in and then like reports to Shinji.
Yeah.
It's like an interesting use of her using his servant for more than just easy or whatever, like his normal character.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just kind of really just, aside from the fan service side, I don't really see a reason to turn Drake of all people into a woman for like a reason. Like they could have just made it like, if they really wanted a woman, they already had Anne Bonny that they could have used. You know, because she's already in Fate as well.
Well, they couldn't use Anne Body because when they implemented Anne Body into Fate, they made her a double servant. And because of that, she can't be separated. And if they only wanted Anne Body, they can't do that because it's Anne Body and her friend are one servant. So.
Wait, that's actually a thing in Fate? A double servant?
Yeah, it's the only case that I've heard it happen is with Anne Body.
What about with, no, actually, no, not with Castor, because I was thinking of Castor when he said double servant, but no, that's more like a servant being a master at the same time.
It's technically two servants, but they're summoned as one.
Yeah, which sounds kind of like an unfair kind of thing.
Yeah.
Actually, wait,
Question about
I guess it could work. I mean, in a
question
way.
about like Last Encore. How level servants essentially that like Rin kind of takes out off screen. Deal with them. I know there was like talk of like their servants, I guess. So is that just them?
I don't know.
Does he like make NPCs? Because he's like the game master or whatever it was.
Yeah, we see her like glow red, and then it goes off screen, and then when it comes back, we see all the like servants that were after her defeated. So
I mean, I also wait. Is this like the first time we've seen people selling servants? Because I always thought that was kind of a probably a normal thing in the Fate universe that a master would just sell their servant if they didn't need them, and they could easily do it by just giving by giving the person that they're selling the servant to their command seal, in a sense.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I think it depends on like the context because like
yeah,
Zero and Fate Stay Night at least were like very Holy Grail war driven
yeah,
in the Holy Grail war. Even though in both of them you don't like which was kind of a cool concept as well. But Apocrypha or something, it would be like understandable where people are like, I don't want this servant.
yeah,
But I don't know. I guess it depends on the context.
yeah,
And I think kind of makes sense in this one because they're like NPCs or something. I don't know. They didn't really like explain it. Like, where do these? From my understanding, new masters come in.
yeah,
Coming in from because I know that like some of them get dropped off from like they go down, but then like they also spawn new people, and then like Shinji just kind of like conquers them all always.
yeah.
Kind of weird, like the world is set up.
Yeah. They didn't really explain a lot where those three servants that were following Shinji's orders came from.
Yeah, they really should have done some sort of explanatory thing with
Yeah,
that like sort of thing instead.
yeah,
I mean, one of the pluses to the series, though, for sure, is that Nero bat scene. Everyone can agree.
yeah. Nero
She
and
became like the #1 season waifu after that.
yeah,
Yeah, that was like the number one scene in the entire show, the Nero bat scene.
yeah.
Or Nero's like personality.
Bark my words, son. So somebody's gonna uncensor that scene.
Yeah, yeah, guaranteed. Well, not
Yeah.
uncensor, decensor.
Yeah.
because decensors are like fan uncensors in a way.
Yeah,
Because well, like hundreds of people have already decensored
Yeah.
Stay Night for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I've already seen a bunch of the decensors. Hell, I've posted them before
yeah,
in the not safe for work chat at one point.
Yeah.
But like yeah, definitely someone's gonna decensor that.
yeah.
Like,
Or
Yeah.
any other thoughts on Last Encore?
I can't
and
think.
like add to that, add to the bat scene. I'm just like, what the hell's up with the MC? He's just like,
Yeah.
he's just sitting there. Is he like, what the hell are you, like Luffy or someone? Like, why are you just sitting there? Wouldn't any normal guy just be like losing their shit or something, or be, that kind of thing? He's just like, he's unfazed.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Dude,
dude, you got.
part of it. He's just like super badass, and like he, like a naked hot girl in front of him. And it's
Yeah.
like,
I wouldn't even say it was like a badass because like, he just kind of had like a blank stare on his face. It wasn't even just like he was dealing with it like a badass, like you would have
Used to it,
expected.
yeah.
It was
Yeah.
more like this. He kind of felt like he was just not fazed by it at all. Like he was like kind of like he was asexual or something, or he wasn't straight at all.
I kind of have an idea why he's like that because I played Extella, the sequel to Extra, but I'm not gonna say anything because of obvious sport, because in case I'm right. And it might.
so okay.
Yeah.
So Last Encore is 2 core, right? They're going for like 26 episodes or so.
Yeah, I think it's 26 episodes.
26.
To a degree.
Fizz said it was 22.
Really?
I'm
So
actually,
it's
let me check.
4.
No, we don't exactly know confirmation of the amount of episodes because Mal still hasn't updated it yet.
Right. I'd like to see if it goes for around like 24, even like 22, I guess, which is a weird number.
Yeah.
But in like episode wise, it's either like 24 to 25, right? Or 26.
Yeah.
But close out. Like I don't want it to end in like an open ending where it's like
Where it's like leading up to the sequel to Extra.
Yeah.
something like that, I guess. Unless I mean, that's probably the route they're gonna take.
Yeah.
Because then it's like more Fate coming out.
Yeah.
But like I kind of want to see like this conclude. Like
I would
actually
love to see an adaptation of Extella, but I doubt it's ever gonna happen because of all the shit that happens in it.
crazy.
Yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happens in Extella.
Like Heaven's Feel is getting an adaptation, even if it's movies.
Yeah.
Like I think there's some continues with like Shaft. They've done some pretty crazy stuff or whatever, so I think they would be able to handle it correctly.
The problem with Extella is that it would be really hard to adapt because you have to play through the game actually 6 times to actually get the full story. Like,
So you'd have to adapt it 6 times.
yeah.
Yeah.
How they would do that? I think they would take like a Fate Stay Night, like the Dean's Fate Stay Night, and try to like implement different routes into one thing.
Yeah.
Or maybe do like not necessarily Dean's Stay Night, but more do a what UFO Table sort of did with the 2 endings of UBW, which is where they just decide to release all the different endings in just like a separate DVD, and that's where we got Sunny Day from, which is where Saber essentially becomes Rin's familiar.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, I remember that from the visual novel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, they could also do even what I think Toei was the one who did Chrono Trigger's CDI release, not CDI, the PlayStation 1 release.
Yeah.
And that's just where they kind of like they when they adapted it, they decided to animate all the different endings and everything, and it was pretty cool too as well, where they just like animate all the different endings in different ways and all that stuff. So yeah, they could just release all the different endings in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Without like the proper build up, it would just be like service for the people that either visual novels or manga or whatever the like source material is.
Mm-hmm.
So it would just be like, oh, here's this ending, and it's like, okay, well, like Unlimited Blade Works and like Fate Stay Night, from my understanding, is path. So like you couldn't just have.
You also have essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of like other paths, I'm pretty sure Fizz and Caster once said that they think UFO Table is eventually going to do the Fate route.
Really,
I can see it happening, but
I find that very surprising.
Well, I mean, they've
said
it,
but it would be cool.
Yeah, it would be cool to have a proper adaptation of the Fate route, but it's a pretty bland route.
And at this point, there's like no need for it because if they were gonna do it, I think that's where they would have started.
Yeah.
Rather than doing technically they started with Zero first, but their follow up rather than Unlimited Blade Works.
Yeah. Yeah. At this point, there's really no point to do it.
Yeah.
Cooking show, so it's like.
Yeah, the cooking show takes place in the Holodraxia timeline.
Yeah.
It basically takes place in the timeline where it's canon to all 3 of the timelines and not canon at all to all 3 of the timelines.
Yeah.
Which leads, I think they said it'll. I think a bunch of people, including Caster, once said that that them doing the cool cooking show thing might actually lead to, might be UFO Table trying to foreshadow them trying to do the Holodraxia adaptation, but at the same time, I think that might be a little far fetched. Even if UFO Table,
it would be very hard to adapt Holodraxia because the whole game you're basically just going through the same 4 days over and over and over again. That's the entire game,
That would
basically.
be,
I mean,
that'd be
they
like an
could
interesting
do it if they
concept.
incorporated some sort of time travel mechanic,
Yeah.
like how Steins Gate and like other series,
Yeah.
like Erased and stuff, try to do
The
that kind of thing where it kind of repeats.
effect, like Higurashi did.
Yeah.
I think that worked well for them.
Yeah, I'm
I
pretty
mean,
sure
I-
like the Majora's Mask manga even did something similar.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, basically, yeah, they did kind of do something similar where they just incorporated a larger time travel mechanic with the Ocarina of Time, and then just kind of like made it like this the 3 days in the game kind of just repeating over and over and over again,
Yeah.
just kind of doing that sort of thing.
Yeah. I think the only way that it would actually work is if they took out all like the extra scenes that you had to go through in the game and then just do like the main story scenes. I think that's the only way that it would work.
Yeah, and then just maybe add a new time travel mechanic that could show that the character keeps having to repeat certain events or something.
Mm-hmm.
Which would be like filler in a way,
Yeah.
but it could also make sense too, because they could also increase the stakes. Like maybe they could have like a looping mechanic that certain events are constantly repeating,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Kind of like what Steins Gate sort of did, where there was like a looping mechanic, and it was just like everything started repeating, and it would give a more incentive to try to go back in time more and more to repeat those events.
Just don't do it like how Haruhi did like those 7 days. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Or was that something else?
But if they do something like a time travel mechanic, I wouldn't want them to do something. I wouldn't want them to pull an Erased and just kind of make it like this unexplainable event that just kind of happens.
They do explain it in the game. Basically, one of the servants has this ability that when he dies, he time automatically goes back to when he was summoned. So that's the whole story behind it.
Oh wait, yeah. Then you kind of got to work around right there.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you need.
Yeah.
Time just resets every time he dies, so
Yeah.
you just kind of gotta deal with that
Yeah.
in the sense,
Mm-hmm.
which can make everything work.
Yeah.
But question is, how would they adapt all the erode scenes as well? 'Cause
Yeah.
they're not mana transfer this time.
No.
In like Hall of Draxia, I'm pretty sure they're not really mana transfer. They're just more like Shiro bonding with all these different women
Yeah.
and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be like weird to see like how they would kind of deal with that, because this time it's Shiro legit actually going at them
Yeah.
instead.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. I guess any closing statements?
Yes.
For the most part, so far it seems in my opinion, I think it might seem like a bit of like maybe a 6 or a 7 out of 10 so far.
Yeah.
It's a little weak in the story department and stuff. I mean, I will say that the choreography for the most part is definitely probably better than UFO Table's choreography so far around.
Yeah.
But most the visual, it's mostly eye candy so far. But I expect it to probably get better and stuff,
Yeah.
because with how Fizz and Haru are trying to hype it up, saying that everything becomes flamed,
Yeah.
it definitely keeps me invested just to try to
Yeah.
figure out kind of what happens in a way.
Yeah. I'm really
Megan and I brought this up earlier a little bit, which was the ending and the opening.
yeah.
I
I'm
actually really like the ending
yeah.
and the opening for this.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, I'm really liking the animation for the opening, especially that scene where her hair like just goes long. Like that scene is really good.
Yeah, there's also I think they also said that maybe the MC dies eventually and then turns into the female MC
Yeah.
or something like that. That's what I think they said.
There was
I-
there was some talk about that. With like in the very beginning of the first fighting that one guy, I guess,
Yeah.
who I think is Saver, something. When she falls, it's like some girl there. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely like room to like play around with like the storyline and
Yeah.
make it really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who do you guys think is going to do any of the dubbing though? That's a good question.
I'm hoping it's Funimation, because I tend to like their dubs more over Aniplex.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's Funimation too. Plus,
yeah.
Aniplex and Funimation are right next to each other.
Yeah.
So you got all the voice actors right next door.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's probably gonna be Aniplex. But I'm hoping it's Funimation.
Yeah.
Because they could clearly pull everything off.
Yeah.
What I'm not hoping is that Sentai, because
Sentai no.
they don't. Sentai makes like okay. Sentai with like Fate makes okay dubs, like with Dean Stay Night and Prisma Ilia, which are just like their dubs are just kind of there. Just not really that good.
I really hated the dub for Prism Ilia because Ilia's voice sounds so bad. It's really bad.
They probably, I mean, like a Monica Rial kind of voice would probably fit Ilia. Yeah, Monica Rial really would fit Ilia.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've heard the voice for Ilia through the because the same voice actress who plays Ilia in the Dean Stay Night as well. Yeah, it's not as good as the one that the Aniplex dub Ilia is. It's which actually her performance on Ilia is actually pretty decent. Actually, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
it's pretty fitting too.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, just one last thing, I guess. Since we brought up Ilia and we brought up Emiya and stuff, we did want to kind of like go over a little bit with the Prisma Ilia movie that we saw.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I guess what are your thoughts on that? Everybody here saw it, right? I think
Yeah.
Supreme saw it.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it yet, but
Oh, okay.
I'll probably watch it once I actually get time.
Okay.
Currently I'm trying to finish up some other stuff first.
Well, just to say kind of how like I think it was you that brought up,
Yeah.
Like Emiya telling Shiro like, hey, sometimes you have to be the bad guy or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I think this movie really does capture that.
Yeah, it does a really good
Shiro.
Good
Yeah,
good
I actually
job.
thought it was done really well.
Yeah, it was good.
I mean,
Prisma Ilia
Prisma
until like
Ilia
the
is
very
more known
ending.
for its story after all.
I liked how they made it like like a prequel to Prism Ilia, because it does explain a lot that isn't really explained in Prism Ilia. So I really like that.
I did it because like since I haven't seen Prisma Ilia,
Yeah.
like I didn't need to go in there knowing anything.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's a build up to it. So it's like I can watch this and not really be lost, I guess.
Yeah.
Movie though.
Yeah.
We don't want to spoil it for Supreme, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
I guess this could be the end of it.
Yeah, I guess so. All right
Yeah.
then. You can catch me.
For listening.
You can catch me on Mega X Anime's X openings, and I guess you guys could I'll leave your channels in the description as well.
Yeah. That'll be alright.
Oh, and I guess for you, Ambo, I'll also leave your Twitter since you tend to post more on there. So
Okay.
yeah,
That works.
Yeah.
All right then. I guess we'll catch you all later then.
Next time.
Yep. See ya.